Hey crafters, it's Artsy Craftsy Phoebe, and today I am playing with this bundle. It's the Hearts Come Home stamp set and the Hometown Greetings edgelets dies to make a pop-up slider gift card holder. So for my paper, I'm using Very Vanilla and Pool Party cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. A piece of designer series paper with the same dimensions. This was from an old stack that I had, because I am a paper hoarder. Now I cut the inside of this designer series paper, leaving a 3/4 inch border around, and I will be using both pieces. Next is a piece of Whisper White cardstock cut at 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. A piece of Tempting Turquoise and Pool Party cut at 2 3/4 by 2 1/2. And lastly, a piece of Night of Navy cut at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. For my ink, I am using my Pool Party, Night of Navy, and my VersaFine Onyx Black ink pads. So to start, I grabbed my trimmer and my Very Vanilla cardstock, and I'm lining it up against a 3/4 inch mark. And I'm simply cutting a 3/4 inch border along 3 sides of my cardstock. And then you'll end up with a panel like this. And then I'll line up that uncut side against a 3/4 inch mark again, and this time I will be scoring from cut line to cut line. And then move your paper to the 3 inch mark and score that as well. And lastly to the 1.25 inch mark and score that line as well. And you'll end up with a panel like that. And then just fold along your score lines, just like so. And now I'm just gluing my border piece of designer series paper onto my panel. And then I will glue the smaller piece of designer series paper onto my Whisper White cardstock. And I'm lining it up at the top. And this will be our slider part. And then I'll just line up my Pool Party cardstock against my Very Vanilla, and I'm cutting a half circle at the top using my circle punch. Now I'm stamping this Santa stamp using my VersaFine ink pad on the top of my panel. So after that, I'm just lining up my slider part against my front panel to punch a hole on the slider part for the ribbon. Okay, so now it's time for our pop-up die cuts. So first, I'm using my Pool Party cardstock with this church die, and I'm running it through my Big Shot. And I'm running it back and forth because this is a very detailed die. Next, I'm using my Tempting Turquoise and this die. And lastly, my Night of Navy with this die, and I'm making sure to line up the top of the die to the top of the paper. So now all my pieces should layer just like this. So now I'm just gluing all of my pieces together. And then I'll put some double adhesive tape on the very bottom of the pop-up panel and along the 2 sides. Now I'm just adhering my slider part to the bottom of my pop-up part. And now there will be an overhang on both sides, and that's what we want. Oopsies, I forgot to cut the notches for my gift card before adhering my slider part, so I'm just doing it now. It would have definitely been easier if I did it before I stuck it, but oh well, I'll work around it. Okay, now that that's done, I can stick my pool party cardstock onto my panel. And then I'm just putting some tape just on the middle folded area to make sure that my die cuts pop up. And now I'm just sticking my die cuts along the middle fold of my panel. And when you pull up your slider, it'll pop up. Using this stamp for the inside and stamping that with my Knight of Navy. And then I'm using Santa again in the middle of my sentiment using my Pool Party ink pad. That is it. That's my slider pop-up gift card holder. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, crafters, and I hope you all have a lovely day. See you next time. Bye!